Feels like it's been quite a long time since we did an Am I the Arsehole? But that is what we are doing today. We're going to look at some Am I the Arsehole Reddit posts and we are going to respond. It is Am I the Arsehole time. Let's go. So the first one that we have today is, am I the arsehole for accidentally ruining my autistic boyfriend's safe food? My boyfriend loves stew. That's an interesting one. I feel like that's probably not a safe food for many people. For me, it probably depends what the stew is. He wants to eat it every day for every meal, like even breakfast, stew for breakfast. His favorite stew is beef tips and vegetables from a local place, but it's really expensive, like $47 for a big bowl. They don't do small orders for takeout. Does that mean $47 a day, or can you split it up into numerous portions and like freeze it in containers and stuff? I don't know. And he's grossed out by leftovers, so more than half of it gets wasted. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I understand it. I do kind of get the ick from leftovers and things like that. Lewis luckily does too a little bit, so he tends to just make the food fresh. I'm so lucky I have somebody cooking for me and he respects my safe foods. I do feel very lucky for that. I feel like you need to have like a special relationship with this restaurant. They need to make you some small portions. I don't know. Can something be negotiated if he's there so often and is having it literally for every meal? I don't know. We've had a couple of arguments about it. He says I don't understand his brain. I say he doesn't understand our budget. Valid, I would say. Recently, I looked up some recipes, including doing a dissection of the takeout soup, and tried my hand at making a home-cooked replacement for stew night. Oh, it's so nice, for stew night. So is it every day? How often does he have it? What did they say? He wants to eat it every day for every meal. Okay, so they don't have it, he just wants to. So they have stew night, so maybe it's a once a week thing. He loved it for a few days, and then one night he was hanging out with me in the kitchen and saw me put tomato paste into the pot. He was really upset and demanded that I make the soup without the paste. Okay, so he wasn't like tomato paste. To me, I don't like tomatoes, but tomato paste itself seems pretty innocent. But I can understand about seeing the preparation of food giving you the ick about it. I like to know what's in my food, so my husband doesn't typically sneak things into the meal that I don't know are going to be in there, and he warns me if there's a non-safe food and it's like, would you be willing to try it? And as I get older, I do branch out and try things a little bit more. But yes, I think the few times where I've cooked things myself, I tend to like the food less because potentially at some point in the process of me preparing it, something has given me the ick. I feel a bit too intimate, too familiar with the ingredients, and maybe I'm not so sure if I want to consume those anymore. I don't know what it is. I told him it wouldn't taste the same, and he said it would be better because he hates tomatoes. They're not a safe food for him, but I find the paste non-offensive. What do you think? Do you like tomatoes? I can have like ketchup and tomatoey pasta sauces and things like that, but tomatoes on their own, that's a big no. That's a really big no. So I made the soup with no tomato paste, and big surprise, something felt off about it to him. This sounds kind of infuriating. I must admit, I do empathize. Instead of admitting that the tomato paste was necessary, he threw a fit. That seems a bit of a harsh way of saying it. Did he get annoyed or did he have a meltdown? I don't know. And told me he didn't want home-cooked food anymore if I was going to play with him. This seems very mean, sir, when somebody is making foods with you. You can literally took the time to dissect your favorite meal and recreate it at home, and you were fine with it until you knew. And I understand psychologically, and sometimes things can just give you the ick randomly as well. I understand it doesn't always make sense. I don't know. She's not trying to manipulate you into eating tomato paste. And not take his safe food seriously, he thinks I changed more than just the tomato paste in an effort to get him to admit he was wrong. Why do you think your partner is that manipulative? I don't know, is that something happened in the past? I don't know, that seems a bit harsh. Obviously, I don't know the history of this couple, but that seems a bit mean. $400 in stew orders later. I had an idea to ask the chef when we were picking up the order if there was any tomato products in the stew. Was this in front of the partner? And lo and behold, there is tomato in the recipe. Fucking tomato paste. In my mind, this was great because I thought he would get over it if he knew his original perfect stew had tomato paste. Like, oh, I guess tomato paste isn't so bad then, but it was the exact opposite. Oh no, I don't know how you didn't see this coming. Okay. He walked out of the restaurant without saying anything and then refused to eat the stew that night that they just bought and hasn't ordered it again. I hope he's been eating. And he's been ignoring me while sulking around the house, using his whiny voice a lot and slamming things. His sister also texted me to tell me I'm a selfish asshole for needing to get back at him in quotation marks by taking his favorite food away. I'm not finished it yet, but I already feel like this one is quite complicated. After he had such a strong reaction from seeing tomato paste going in the stew in the kitchen, I feel like it was somewhat predictable, at least it was to me. If he found out that his safe food from the restaurant stew also had tomato paste, he would also get the ick. It would also be turned off. I don't know if, like, personally, have I ever had that where a non-safe food has been in something but I haven't noticed, and then I found out later and it's put me off it. I can't think of an example of a time when that's ever happened to me. I feel like I would have sniffed out the non-safe food before I got to that point. I don't know, but I have had things just randomly gross me out. But I know even though I do have sensitivities around food, I know there are a lot of people who struggle with it a lot more than me. So I do want to be sympathetic to that. But at the same time, this person is like kind of going above and beyond to try and help, and now I'm being kind of treated like they're being manipulative when actually they're worried about the budget. They don't want to overspend, and they went out of their way to try and dissect the stew and make the stew for you. I just feel like that's so kind, and it is somebody who is doing their best and is trying to care for them, and it feels like they're being met with a lot of like, oh, you don't understand me, you're not even trying to understand. But I think this partner is trying to understand and is trying to do their best. Maybe this person, needs more external support with the food stuff. Maybe they need to see a dietitian or something like that. Maybe there's a limit to how much they can help. And, maybe the autistic person, the autistic partner, needs to take a bit of responsibility in this situation, because that is an expensive stew. And if it's not in the budget, maybe we need to find some other safe foods. What else do we eat? We haven't mentioned that. It seems like maybe there's some psychological element if we were okay with it. But then I can understand maybe once you know certain ingredients in there, you can notice it more, and it can seem kind of irrational sometimes, but I know it's not deliberate. I literally just wanted to stop spending insane amounts of money on stew. I wasn't trying to hurt him or ruin his life. I'm not autistic. I can't really wrap my head around caring this much about a single ingredient. I genuinely didn't see this reaction coming. We've been together for 4 years, and he's only had 3 other fits like this. The other ones were pretty reasonable. Okay, so this is like quite out of character. Those were also a little less intense and didn't include input from his family. I wonder if it was a meltdown then, that he had a meltdown. I don't know. It seemed like kind of ganging up with his family, like, oh, my partner doesn't understand me, they're being selfish, they don't care about me. I mean, they did try and make your favorite stew. They maybe shouldn't have asked about the tomato paste, but at the same time, if the stew is out of the budget, maybe the stew's going to be off the menu anyway, and we need to find some in-budget safe foods. They're refusing to eat any home cooking. I mean, are you gonna prepare your own foods then? Or maybe your partner can give you a budget and you can find safe foods within that budget if you don't want to eat their home cooking anymore. I don't know what gender OP is here. It says my boyfriend. They haven't specified. Usually they do, but I do worry that if OP is a woman and then this is a man, there's a bit of a like expectation of you must make sure I'm fed, and some gender role stuff going on there, which is not great. Like the expectation that you must solve my food issues for me. I think maybe some responsibility does need to be taken. If you can't eat it anymore because of the tomato paste, fine, but maybe you need to take some responsibility with finding some foods that you can eat. And it sounds like your partner is really caring. And again, they deconstructed the stew. I'm sure they will help you on your journey as well, but I do think there needs to be some accountability, some responsibility of like, it's kind of also my job to make sure I'm fed, not my partner's job to make sure I'm fed. I say as someone who gets most of my meals cooked for me. No, I do. I make both me and my partner a healthy smoothie every day. I do that. I blend ingredients up. That's cooking right there. This was the first time anyone in his family has ever spoke to me like this. So I've been back and forth between y'all are overreacting and what have I done? Am I the asshole? It sounds so dumb when I write it all out, but living it has made me feel physically sick with regret, and I can't think straight anymore. They seem like a very nice, very empathetic, very caring person, and I don't think they meant to put their partner off the restaurant stew. And maybe you could even argue that their partner might want to know if they hate that ingredient so much. Then they said, I'm getting ready for work right now, so I can't respond to individual comments, but there's some recurring confusion / questions I want to clear up because it might affect the answers. Number 1, the stew place is a catering place with a mini restaurant, so every time we order takeout, we're ordering a catering amount pretty much. It's not stew made of gold, lol. Yeah, it's a shame that they can't have the leftovers. And obviously that's making it a lot more expensive. We order from there 2 to 3 nights a week. Okay, it's not the only thing he eats, it's just the top 5 foods for him. Okay, so there are another 4 foods that are still on the menu potentially. Are they home cooked meals or no? He doesn't eat this unreasonably every single day. He has a job and contributes with the money. I'm not funding his entire diet. We do mix money, so even though he pays for the meal half the time, it still does feel like we're losing money. Yeah, that's fair enough. He works part-time and I work full-time. Bills are probably split 70-30. So meaning the autistic partner pays 30%, I assume, because they're only working part-time unless they have a really high-paying role. I don't know. I think the only asshole move was potentially asking about the tomato paste in front of the partner or telling the partner that the restaurant did include tomato paste. I think potentially from the reaction when he found out that the homemade one had tomato paste, we perhaps could have anticipated that that might have put him off the stew. But at the same time, if it's really, really not in the budget, then we might need to leave the stew behind anyway. And obviously, I can understand how it would be frustrating because it's like, oh, well, you liked it before you knew. And that might seem a little bit intentionally manipulative, but you know, it could just be then gave him the ick and he kind of overthought, and then he could notice the tomato paste and whatever other factors that he doesn't like about tomato paste in there. Maybe there was a little bit of a like, ha, see, that one has tomato paste too, but I can understand because they've gone out of their way to cook the meal for their partner, to reconstruct it, to make their favorite stew, to try and make sure that they could still have it. I don't think that's somebody who's out to get them and somebody who deserves to be kind of attacked by the entire family. That seems too harsh. So I don't know. I think they're not the asshole. Is the autistic partner the asshole? If the autistic partner is happy with the other 4 meals and they're in the budget and we can maybe just forget the stew, we can move on, maybe we can come back to it, maybe we can see a dietitian. But if it's now like kind of an ongoing issue and the partner is refusing any other home cooked foods and that's making things really difficult, I think, yeah, at a certain point, maybe you have to take responsibility and realize like it's not my partner's fault that I have this issue with tomato paste, and it's not my fault either that I'm very, very sensitive to foods. Maybe we can save a bit of money from the stew budget and go and see a dietitian or something, go and chat with somebody, and then maybe you might be able to find ways that you can branch out a little bit more. Could also be that maybe he's burnt out. Maybe there are other things in his life that he's struggling with. Maybe he's really tired. Like I sometimes find when I'm stressed, things are more likely to give me the ick. So maybe just having some more therapy in general could be really helpful. Let's see what people have said. First of all, he sounds like a fucking nightmare, which it's not sounding great. Food sensitivities can be very real. There's ARFID, obviously, which is an eating disorder. So he may have an eating disorder. And, you know, sometimes as a result of having an eating disorder, people might behave a little bit like a fucking nightmare, but it'd be really nice if the people around them can support them. But, you know, with the family reacting the way that they have, maybe he's been kind of coddled a little bit too much or something. I don't know. I just think at some point it's like, okay, you have to take responsibility. It's not your partner's job to make sure that you are fed. I think I would feel really, really bad if my partner had gone out of their way to, you know, cook something for me and then it had given me the ick and that was not their fault. I would want to really reassure them, like, look, it's not your fault. It's just, I just feel really weird about this and I can't eat it anymore. And then maybe, you know, try and explore other options. I'd put a plate of microwave chicken nuggets on the table in front of him and announce that's what's on the menu going forward unless some respect and communication is established. Imagine Sheldon from The Big Bang Theory, but he's obsessed with beef stew. This is a fucking nightmare. Yeah, I don't know. But microwave chicken nuggets might not be a safe food. You know, they might not be a safe food. There was 4 of them. What are the odds it's going to be chicken nuggets? Maybe more likely than some other foods. I don't know. Someone said, not the asshole. Could you hire the chef? Come teach him the recipe. No, because it has tomato paste in it. We can't have it anymore. I'm going to say not the asshole because you weren't trying to hurt him, but can he be reasoned with logically? Me, I hate tomatoes, but things like tomato paste are used in all sorts of things. Don't tell him that. Don't tell him that. He doesn't want to know. Don't let him know. Don't let him in the kitchen. He's not allowed in the kitchen anymore. But things like tomato paste are used in all sorts of things to add a certain brightness and flavor that's good. He can't taste the tomato from that. It adds a bit of acid, some sugars, and a meatiness to the flavor that you can't really add any other way. I guess you could try to replicate it with things like MSG, lemon juice and stuff, but my God, why? Seeming a bit, again, like maybe we might need something external, some sort of therapy though, to deal with that. But that's something he would have to decide to do himself. And he shouldn't be burdening you with trying to fix all of his eating stuff just because you cook for him sometimes. If he doesn't believe you, do a kitchen experiment. I mean, they kind of already did. Make a small batch of stew without tomato paste and a small batch with. Keep everything else the same. Yeah, they already did that. It's okay to hate certain foods by themselves, but be okay with them when cooked into things. I can't stand sour cream, but when it's mixed in as part of a recipe and not just a topping, it's not the same. Okay, but that's how you feel about it. That's your perspective, but that clearly isn't this person's perspective. They clearly have a big issue with tomatoes. I'm the same. I hate tomatoes. I can eat tomato related stuff, tomato adjacent stuff, and I hate peas. We know I hate peas a lot. If you haven't seen the pea Am I the Arsehole story, that's an old one. I'm gonna leave that one linked. That is my favorite Am I the Arsehole I have ever done. It was like a piece of literature. I loved it. I can sometimes eat peas when they're in stuff. It depends how many they are. If they're blended, sometimes, I don't know, it depends. Complicated relationship. So yeah, I understand sometimes, but it doesn't seem like that's the case for this person's boyfriend. Not the asshole, I'm neurodivergent and still have a budget. If we have traits that are difficult, it's our responsibility to manage them. You're trying to help him and he's blaming you. That's very immature and unappreciative behavior. Yeah, you're contributing more in this relationship. It feels like it. It does. It feels kind of like you're having to take a bit of a like parental role or something in the situation, and it shouldn't be like that. It should be a partnership. Food aversions for autistics can be severe, and some autistics rather starve when stressed than eat anything else than a safe food. The food must be the same texture and taste, no alternative. Knowing that your safe food is made of something that you're aversive to is like someone has spit in your food. Yeah, I understand that. Like, you don't taste the spit, but the knowledge is that, yeah, it's more of a like mental thing to some extent. It's a very real barrier though, all the same. And I would say not the asshole, but what do you think? And have you ever had something like this happen to you where a food has been ruined because you know more about how it is prepared? I can certainly imagine that happening. I can't think of a time it's happened to me, but I can imagine it. Yeah, I think the spitting in the food was a good example. Like, I think we all probably could be, you know, like really enjoying a meal and thinking this is great. If someone told you like something gross had happened to those ingredients, it could certainly turn your stomach and turn you off it. So that makes complete sense to me. I understand it. I also understand how it'll be frustrating because, you know, this partner thought they'd managed to recreate it at home and that was such a lovely thing to do. Maybe we've got to get a dietitian in and hopefully they'll actually be helpful. That's another issue altogether. Next post. Am I the arsehole for telling my daughter 15 she is not autistic in front of her friends? Okay, and there's apparently an update as well. Okay, my daughter is one of the most well-adjusted and socially adept people I have met. She has organized her own birthday parties. We're saying definitely not autistic here, but the word organized, it's not autistic. No autistic people have ever organized things ever. They've never liked things to be organized. Okay. Excelled at debate team and the feminist roundtable club at her school, where she organized a fundraiser for at-risk young women. I'm beyond proud of her. Well, that's nice. She is an incredible person. Autistic people can't be incredible people. And I truly feel the sky is the limit for her. I know everyone watching this knows this. Those things can absolutely be true. And she could still be autistic. She could be high masking. Feminist roundtable, again, doesn't sound not autistic to me. I mean, not everybody at the feminist roundtable is going to be autistic, but you certainly could be. You know, maybe this person needs to read a bit about strong sense of justice. Like, I would often at primary school organize petitions and things like that and have everyone signing it for things that I didn't feel were right. And everyone generally, I think, thought I was a weirdo at primary school, you know? But I'd be out there, I was so shy, whatever, barely spoke to anyone. But then I'd have my petition and I'd be going around to everyone in the class because then I'd be on a mission, you know? When I'm on a mission, I can often forget social anxiety or I'm able to bypass it because I'm just, you know, on my path. So she might be autistic, she might not be, but I certainly wouldn't, you know, disregard it on that basis. However, she has recently made a friend group who I believe is not great for her. 3 people, 2 are non-binary and 1 girl. All of them claim to be autistic. Is there a reason why we specified non-binary? I guess this is rubbed off on my daughter because now she is also claiming to be autistic. Dear me. My sister is following her on TikTok and I guess she posts stimming videos and other things. The way that sentence was written made me feel a bit like this post was fake. Because, like, I guess she posts stimming videos and other things. Like, do most people know what stimming is. I don't know. I feel like you might phrase that more as like she posts videos where she flaps her hands, or she posts videos doing something called stimming, or I don't know. Something about that just seems a bit weird to me, the way it was phrased. She has given me zero evidence before this point to even entertain the notion that she is autistic. How much does this person know about autism? Most people don't know that much, but apparently they maybe know what the word stimming is. They did put it in quotation marks. Maybe they don't. I don't know. I truly never even considered it until she met these friends. This leads me to believe it is made up. I have noticed that these friends are causing her to distance herself from other friends that encourage a more healthy lifestyle. Friends that she met in Feminist Roundtable, for example, who I really liked. A more healthy lifestyle. Why? What's happening? Is that the being autistic part? The claiming to be autistic part? The thing that's not being healthy? Or are they into exercise or something? Is she taking drugs now? What's going on? The autistic women and non-binary folk leading her astray, apparently. She does not really do anything anymore but sit in her room and make videos with these friends about autism. Maybe I've reacted to her TikToks before. I don't know. It's really strange and has me feeling pretty bad. The other day, her and her friends were in the kitchen and my daughter said something along the lines of she wouldn't understand because she isn't autistic about a classmate. I calmly stated after she said this that she is not autistic either. Okay, so this is in front of her friends. This is the autistic friends. Has self-diagnosed and shouldn't patronize people by claiming that she is autistic, as it is inappropriate to people who actually struggle. She got furious and stomped up to her room. Her friends followed. She's not talking to me anymore. Am I the asshole for calling out my daughter? I can imagine that could be pretty embarrassing and upsetting around your friends, and I don't think that was very tactful. I think that conversation could have been had when her friends weren't around. Sounds like her mum just snapped or kind of wanted to make a point, maybe because she doesn't like these friends. But I mean, if these friends are also diagnosed or claiming to be autistic, and these friends have now heard you react like that to your own daughter, like potentially this is going to alienate your daughter even more and, you know, affect your relationship negatively. Does the OP, does this mom know that much about autism? Does she know about masking? Does she know about autism in women? The fact that you think that her being on the Feminist Roundtable makes her not autistic, you know, I'm sure there's maybe some other neurodivergent folk on that Feminist Roundtable. Don't know how many people are on it, but odds are there probably are some more neurodivergent people there. Who knows? You know, I just think that maybe shows a lack of knowledge, which, you know, most people don't know that much about autism. Have they taken the time to actually have a respectful conversation with their daughter and say, well, why do you feel like you're autistic? What autistic traits do you feel like you have? And, you know, maybe you can have a conversation about it and maybe you'll understand. Maybe if you have the financial means and if it's accessible to you, maybe getting an assessment, maybe offering to see if she actually does want an assessment might be useful, because maybe it'll turn out that she does get diagnosed. And if not, then maybe that'll help to put her mind at ease, although there are obviously some medical professionals who are not very well informed. I think for me, getting the actual diagnosis really helped my family to understand. That could be helpful with accommodations at school if that's something that she needs. I don't know. Like there obviously must be reasons why she thinks she's autistic, and I doubt it's just like because she wanted to get in with the group of friends or because the friends have convinced her or something. If she, you know, she isn't actually autistic and she just maybe relates to these friends for other reasons, and maybe she's just convinced herself that she is or something like that, she's probably going to grow out of that, I would say. So probably not best to alienate her though, because that could have negative consequences. Probably best to still be respectful and talk to her about it. Kind of seems like you quite admire your daughter and you think she's this brilliant person who's done so many things. Well, she's still that person, and you obviously seem to think she's quite intelligent, I would imagine. So there's a reason why she's come to that conclusion. So why don't you talk through that with her? Oh yeah, my verdict would be you are the asshole. I do think you are an asshole. I think that was mean, and I think you probably knew that that was mean, and it probably felt awful. I feel like I'd want to cry if someone did that to me. Not the asshole for telling her that, however, I think you should maybe take her to an expert and have her checked. That will not just confirm what you are saying. I mean, we don't know if it will confirm what she's saying because we don't really know anything about this daughter. Nothing that we've learned suggests that she definitely isn't autistic. We don't know. But also give your daughter the assurance that her self-diagnosis was wrong and maybe ease her doubts. Worst comes to worst, if she does turn out to be one, I hope English isn't this person's first language, that's the only excuse, you can then take appropriate steps to deal with it. To the people who are questioning the usage of a word like deal, okay, they've responded, it is not meant in a negative manner or to dismiss people with autism. It is used to describe handling it, supporting it, or taking care of it. The autism that is separate from you, I suppose. That is it. No controversial or ableist undertones to it. I mean, there is, because you've said worst comes to worst, so it's the worst case is that she is autistic, which I understand that is how a lot of people see autism, and that is part of the reason why you maybe feel like your daughter can't be autistic, you know? And I would say, if I was the daughter, maybe sending links to things like, you know, that Gina Rippin interview that we saw. There's that whole book on autism in girls and women that she wrote recently. You know, things like that, sending on things to the mother slowly might help her to understand, and it might take some time. Then at least maybe they can be a little bit more on the same page. How old is this daughter? How old was she? I don't think we were told, were we? I don't know how old the daughter is. And then maybe they can be a little bit more on the same page, and they can have a discussion, and they can think back to childhood and see if the diagnosis is maybe something that fits and whether getting an assessment would be useful. I just think they need, I don't know, just a respectful conversation, and treating your daughter like a full person would go a long way. To the people who are autistic, this comment was in no way made to hurt or treat you like a different species or with malicious intentions to be one. It happens to be one of them. You could have always just edited your language and said sorry. I don't know. The comment is only made for OP to offer. Yeah, okay, but autistic people are on the internet too, and they're gonna read it. Okay, just kicking off about people nitpicking about words. I mean, language does matter. Thanks, this is a great idea. I'm going to make an appointment. Why do I just feel like this is fake? I have to go with it as if it's real, but I feel like there are probably a lot of Am I the Arsehole posts that are not real. But let's not break the spell. Let's keep going. Someone said autism doesn't look the same in everyone, especially girls. She most likely isn't. We just don't know. We don't have enough evidence really. But you could get her checked out for official proof. Someone said here, be picky about your professional. I long suspected I had ADHD, but knowing how differently it presents in girls, specifically sought out someone with a high level of expertise. Yeah, you could maybe send an email beforehand and ask, like, do you have experience with diagnosing girls and women, or whatever specific identities apply to you? Because yeah, that could help you to, you know, kind of not waste your time, because unfortunately not all professionals are created equal, and sometimes it would be really nice if there was just a blood test or something that wasn't subjective, you know, to assess whether someone's autistic or not. They said high functioning quotation marks autism is easily missed and symptoms can be dismissed. Researching a specialist could even be a joint project or an assignment you give your daughter. Yeah, I mean, I think the fact that the daughter is friends with a lot of neurodivergent people, you know, often we can flock together and form these little sort of misfit friendship groups. So you know what, that could be a sign that she might be autistic, or she might not be. I don't know. You don't know enough about these people when you're reading these posts, that it's really annoying, and you want like multiple sides of the story, and you can't. You just get a one-sided account. Okay, OP has also said, I'm going to take my daughter in for a formal evaluation. I really can't stress enough that she has shown no symptoms of autism her whole life, no discomfort, no social problems, no evidence that she is masking and the mask is slipping. So they have acknowledged masking. Does this person know very much about the signs of autism though? Do they know the diagnostic criteria? Do they understand how that can present differently? Just feel a bit skeptical because most people don't. I'm very close to my daughter, and she has not one time expressed any sort of autistic tendencies before she met these friends. So we've maybe noticed a change of behavior. I mean, that could be unmasking, that could be evidence of the mask slipping if maybe she's stimming more after spending time with these friends. Who knows? Again, I don't know these people. She's well adjusted, makes friends very easily, and has never indicated any sort of struggle socially or educationally. Okay, that's suggesting that we maybe don't know too much about autism, and maybe we think it's an intellectual disability. It bothers me above all things that her peers are encouraging her to make her life harder for no reason. She isn't showing up for her clubs or planning events or being herself. Okay, so maybe she is showing some signs of discomfort or struggle then. So I think that's maybe what they mean by not being as healthy. Maybe she's kind of isolated herself a bit more, but she's spending time with these friends, but maybe not going out and doing things as much and being a little bit more introverted. It's really hard to say when we don't know this person, but it sounds like she is maybe struggling and maybe not doing so well. Maybe we need to, you know, actually communicate with our daughter and respect that there may be a reason why they've come to these conclusions, and maybe not believe what we read in the newspapers about how TikTok is turning everybody autistic and, you know, everything is just always a social contagion. I don't know. Like, do you believe that your daughter is so easily manipulated by people? Maybe good to have some conversations. Did you ever try talking to her about your concerns before just announcing that she's not in front of friends? I'm not sure what you hope to accomplish, but all you did was push your daughter closer to these friends, yep, and give them an opening to put you down and create distance. Yeah, I agree. I also, like, are we being a bit snobbish about these friends? What's wrong with these friends? Why are they not healthy? Maybe we don't get to control who our children are friends with, and yeah, we just maybe need to be careful to not alienate them. The same kind of thing happened to me, and I've spoken to my mom quite a lot about this. We kind of touched on it in our podcast episodes as well, but she really didn't like my first boyfriend, and it was complicated for her because she was like, am I just gonna hate every boyfriend that Meg ever has, you know? And she didn't feel like she wanted to say that to me, so instead she just kind of made me feel like I had nobody else except for him, even though there were a lot of things that I wasn't happy with within the relationship. I felt like if I left him, I have nobody else, because she just pushed me further away because she didn't like him, and she made me feel like she didn't like me for like a couple of years of my life, and our relationship was really strained because of these complicated feelings she had about him and because she didn't approve of him. And then she ended up making me feel like, well, if I break up with him, I literally have no family, I have nobody there for me, and it made me feel isolated and alone. And maybe if she's spoken to me a bit more about her feelings and been more open and direct and more comfortable with saying, like, I don't think this person is right for you, which I know is difficult to say when someone's in a relationship, but like maybe it might have helped our relationship a little bit more if she'd communicated better in that time. Everything's okay now, and she really loves my husband, so it's all good. Like, she didn't want to be controlling, she didn't want to manipulate my relationships, but actually the honesty might have been better in that moment. I had this thought also, being in a similar situation with my parents when I was younger, brackets, turns out I am autistic, and they still haven't apologized for not believing me. Yep, a lot of people do have that experience. All I internalized from those conversations, in quotation marks, is my parents think I'm a liar. I question if OP's daughter feels like her mom called her a liar. In brackets, I'm not saying she did, but that's how I would have internalized it. Yeah, that's how I would have internalized it too. It feels like you were trying to humiliate her in front of her friends, like trying to knock her down, like, oh, you think you're so special because you're autistic. Well, you're not, you know, you're not autistic, you're faking it. And that would have been really embarrassing, I think, really humiliating. I don't know how old this person is, but it's a really difficult, complicated time of life socially. Friendships can be really hard at that age, even if you are somebody who doesn't struggle socially or doesn't seem to struggle socially. Yeah, just would have been embarrassing. Let's read what the update said anyway, but yeah, definitely I feel like you are the asshole. Something that resonated with me in a lot of the comments was that I had not really spoken to my daughter about how she was feeling. Later in the night, when her friends had gone home, I went up to her room and knocked on the door. She let me in, but had clearly been crying. I apologized immediately for my comment and the poor timing, and she just nodded and looked at the ground. There's a lot of detail here, which is making me question whether this is real. I sat down on her bed and told me I wanted to talk to her about why she felt she might be autistic, because if she is, I want to help her get the help she needs. She didn't say anything for a moment, then said, not sure. What do you mean? My friends told me I may have it. What did they tell you exactly? They told me I may have it because I really like cartoons. She said a specific cartoon, I can't remember. Was it Bluey? And have trouble making eye contact and have trouble socially. So I asked her to come downstairs and watch some YouTube videos with me on my laptop about autism that I had watched a couple of myself and that were recommended to me via DM here on Reddit. After each video, I asked her if she could relate to it. She said generally no, just the social anxiety part. So I asked her if she still thought she might be autistic, and she didn't say anything for a second. Then she said, I think I'm just bored of stuff. And I said, like what? She said feminist roundtable. It's always feminist roundtable with this post. And some of my sports. I want to try different stuff and try to meet new friends because I'm bored of the stuff I'm doing lately. I thought we already had a new group of friends. Are we going to abandon the autistic friend group already? Or maybe this is just neurotypical people things where you can have loads of friends and keep up with them all. Maybe I just don't relate to that because I'm bored of the stuff I'm doing, but I've also felt really anxious lately. I told her that I made a psychiatrist appointment through our Medicaid to talk about her potentially having autism, and she shook her head, you can cancel it. I asked if she was sure and she said yes. I let her know if she wanted to see somebody to talk about this or anything else, please let me know, and she said okay. She wants to quit feminist roundtable, it's gone, and a sport she does after school and join the photography club instead. She also brought up volunteering at the Paws Animal Shelter. I think it's a great idea, but I'm going to let her take initiative in signing up and not pressure her to do anything she doesn't want to do. We are also going to start seeing her therapist on a more regular basis, brackets weekly, to address her recent anxieties. I mean, if we already had a therapist, why were we not speaking to the therapist about this to begin with? Maybe this was a therapist she hasn't seen for a while. But I thought we said a second ago we were so well adjusted. So what did we need therapy for? Not saying well-adjusted people can't have therapy, but you know what I mean. We were acting like she'd never had any sort of anxieties or issues before at any point in life. She's hanging out with her friends again today, but I noticed they are not making stimming quotation marks videos or doing TikTok. They've given up TikTok for good. It's the stimming in quotation marks that makes me feel like this might be a bit of fan fiction going on. A bit of fake disorder cringe fan fiction. They walked to the gas station for a snack, very healthy, and went to the park, brackets, it's sorta a nice day here. They're really nice kids and I'm glad to see them doing something productive. Overall, I think things went okay. Thanks again for the help. All right, well, the sorta there as well also doesn't scream like I was imagining, you know, middle class, middle-aged woman, mother of a teenage daughter. It's sort of a nice day here. I don't know. And the fact that we mentioned stimming in quotation marks in relation to the videos, but then we didn't mention stimming anywhere else. I don't know. That just seems like a very in the know sort of word. A lot of people don't know what stimming is. And I don't know. And yeah, it just feels a little bit like, and they all lived happily ever after and they never went on the TikTok app again and everybody clapped. It feels like Fake Disorder Cringe wrote this as a sort of fantasy. We will save all of the fakers one by one and they will all go to the gas station for snacks. It's all gonna be okay. Well, at least she said the friends were nice. So if this is real, maybe she's been a bit nicer to the friends, because I thought it seemed like we were being a bit snobby towards the new claiming to be autistic friends. So at least now we think they're nice, even if they are claiming to be autistic. Okay, well, anyway, still think you're the asshole, even if you didn't exist. But it sounds like that was a healthy conversation, almost too healthy to believe that real people had it. But you never know. You never know. So if it is true, hope everyone's doing okay. Hope everyone's happy. I think it was dealt with well, maybe. I don't know. I don't think it's real anymore. Anyway, let me know what you think. Do you think that last post was real or not? And do you think she was the asshole? I don't know. Maybe sometimes I'm biased because obviously I thought that I was autistic because of the internet, and I guess maybe it is possible that you could convince yourself you're autistic when you're not autistic because your algorithm goes a certain way or something. I don't know, but like I say, I feel like that wouldn't last, and I feel like it's okay to wonder and to explore and to think about it, particularly if you have a feeling that you are different. There are a lot of people who are neurodivergent in this world. You know, it's not super far-fetched that there might be a name for, you know, how you experience the world, and I think it can be really helpful if you find it. So I don't necessarily think there's anything wrong, but again, maybe I'm biased from my own experience, who knows. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you want to support the channel, you can do so over on Patreon. You get 2 exclusive videos a month, access to the Discord server, and on the higher tiers you can listen to my podcast. The most recent episodes were about driving, my experience learning to drive, extreme driving anxiety. You might find that relatable. And I also have a load of outtakes, must be close to 100 by now. Basically, if I put up a memes video, say, I usually have a few extra memes that go up over on Patreon. And thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video very soon. Bye.